Good evening. The one thing many of us have in common at this point in making decisions about whether the river should disaffiliate from the United Methodist Conference or not is grief. As my friend Gay said at the last small group discussion meeting, and I paraphrase, all of us will have lost something no matter what the outcome. The church, which is made up of people, not bricks and mortar, will never be quite the same as it was even a year ago. And so, for just a few minutes, I would like to share some thoughts about moving forward. So, recognize that, I have known about this decision for over a year. And so, I have already begun working through my shock, through my grief, my shock, my anger, to a large extent, my hurt. And that was only possible with God's help. I haven't quite come to acceptance, but I really do believe that that's just because of the unknowns involved. And it will happen for each of you in your own time. There are a few lessons along this journey that are really worth sharing. First and foremost, whatever the outcome, we are called to love one another. All of us, all of us are intent on wanting to lead others to Jesus. So when you get stuck on your grief journey, find some quiet space and give whatever you're feeling to God, whether that's your judgments, your anger, your hurt, your disappointment, because He is there to take them. If we were able to convince one another of one biblical interpretation over another regarding the issue of homosexuality, we'd be farther ahead than the Methodist Church has been at general conferences since 1972. So it seems natural that there's going to be a splintering. However, I do believe that God can work His mission through both churches that will emerge. He can operate through all of our non-negotiables, and He will. He doesn't intend to leave any of us behind. Monday night is not a time for high fives for any of us. If your line in the sand is you can't remain in a denomination that may well vote in 2024 to allow for same-sex marriage and ordination, then you should be voting for disaffiliation. God will use you and your church to make disciples, new disciples. And if you enjoy the Methodist tradition of not dictating how one interprets the Bible and feel you can sit next to folks in your pew who feel differently than you do about the issues of the day, be it homosexuality, race relations, public education, then you should remain in the conference. God will use you and your church to make new disciples. Just recognize that passion does indeed exist on both sides of the issue. That is what has led us to this moment. Over the past few years, I have had to learn, only with help from the Holy Spirit, that I had to surrender my judgment of others' views on any number of social issues and let God have them. And while that took time, what I received in exchange for those judgments was improved relationships with people I love dearly. We live in a pretty divisive world that deliberately pits us against each other, where we can't even listen, much less discuss an alternative view. Instead, we silo ourselves into communities where we only hear our own perspective echoed in that chamber and forget about loving one another. It ought to be the church that shows the world another way, and that way is in loving one another. I believe it is possible. I've seen it within my Monday morning discipleship band, where though we are divided on this issue of disaffiliation, we continue to pray with and for one another. But most of all, we continue to love and care for one another. praying that the river community can be that kind of model for the world. So, in love and grace, I wish all of you peace.